All right, we're getting into another strong principles, another episode. And this one is going to be more Pete talking to us because Pete works in basically what they call like tactical and first responders. And he's you said it was a training.
So I'm the training sergeant for Sebastian Police Department.
Yep.
So I've been with Sebastian Police Department for 20 years, going on 20 years. During the course of my career, I've done everything from road patrol to road patrol corporal to road patrol sergeant. I was on our SRT team, which is our SWAT team. So I've been through SWAT school. I was a detective for 7 years, and I'm currently an in-house instructor, which I'm trained in defensive tactics, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, active shooter response, and then just general instructors.
So we're gonna get into all things of training of the first responders.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in all of it because obviously, cops get a bad rap.
Oh, yes, we do.
That you eat donuts.
We do.
Right.
But they do.
Yeah.
But some of them do.
I love a good dinner. I have one coming in.
All right.
Powdered, especially.
All right. Yeah. But it's a lot of times like in the movies you'll be like, oh, the heavyset cop.
So I'll explain to you why we're heavyset and how the odds are stacked against us, and it's hard to actually train to be fit because we're in a culture and a world that's setting us up for failure.
Let's talk about that.
Excellent. So when you become a police officer, the minute you put on your vest and a badge and you strap a gun to your hip, you are expecting to fight for your life. You know that you're going out and possibly seeing your family for the last day. You're kissing your daughter goodbye and you may not see her again. You are automatically going into fight or flight. We are in the parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous system right then. You're then going for a 12-hour job where you're in that system all day long. You're driving around by yourself, hunting the fight for your life. You're just waiting for that tone to go off, knowing that you're now going to have to barrel to a gun battle or something that could kill you. So you're already stressed out. You're already heightened. Then we go into a shift rotation where we rotate through night shift, which means 6 months out of the year, you're working from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., which now throws off your sleep schedule. We also, in our last podcast, talked about nutrition. Unless you prep and get ready, there's not a lot of food options. So we're eating a lot of fast food, a lot of processed food, a lot of convenient food out of snack machines, which is also detrimental to us. Over the course of this time, we're crushing our hormones. We're not sleeping properly. We're not eating properly. We're sitting too much, which ends up hurting our backs. The next thing you know, we're out of shape.
Yeah,
it kind of feeds all into that.
And people don't know that.
You laid that out. No, they don't understand that at all.
We drive around and eat donuts all day, and we don't. We're just prepared for the fight of our life, and we're in stress all day long.
Yep.
And then we have to try to figure out how to train on our days off, and we'll get into that later about how that just puts you right back into fight or flight, and you never get out of it.
Yeah, because if you think about the 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. person, like the only thing that's really open is like 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven, McDonald's.
And that's just going to completely trash them.
Trash.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not even
the
sure.
Roller hot dog.
I've eaten many of those roller
right?
hot dogs.
I'm not even sure, no matter what you do, if you can really like be healthy getting up.
You can't.
Like that and being up all night like that.
So even if you're up all night, your body doesn't want to sleep during the day. So you may get sleep, but it's not good sleep. It's not quality sleep. It's not recoverable sleep.
Yeah, when I was younger, I worked overnights at a Winn-Dixie. No longer a thing. Kind of funny. Yeah. But I used to work overnights at a Winn-Dixie, and I would get like 2 hours of sleep, and I'd be up the rest of the day.
And then you've got to go back to work.
Yeah.
So now you're going to live on caffeine. You're going to live on sugar because your body's crashing, and you're just burying yourself.
When you're younger, I have this because sometimes we got to get up at 3:00 in the morning to open up the gym. Thank God it's only a couple of days a week, but like I'll notice a huge difference just in myself, like hormonally, just physically. Like if I get up at 3 or I get up at 6, 5 or 6, those couple of hours make a huge difference.
Okay, so in this scenario, right, the police officer gets the bad rap of like being heavyset, this, that, the other. What can they do like immediately to try and make themselves be better?
So the first thing is obviously food.
Yep.
Okay, we can't out-train a bad diet. You just can't do it. I would obviously get some blood work done, make sure your hormones, make sure your blood work's fine because there's other underlying problems that may be adding to that. We try to stress, especially if you're on night shift, blackout shades, some sort of like eye cover, try to get the best sleep you can. It's not going to happen. So first and foremost, you have to start prepping your food. We have to get into a habit where we're preparing our night shift with enough food to sustain us that's healthy.
Okay, and I think that makes sense, right? It's really just planning, right? Planning and making sure that everything's good. Because I feel like planning with everything is key, no matter what you're doing. Even if you're trying to make good food that tastes good, you got to plan that stuff out, and you got to really start prepping the day before, right? So it's the same scenario with eating healthy, doing the healthy things. if you could, I don't know if you can, but could you talk about, or maybe like what did training look like, say 10 years ago versus today?
So when I first got into law enforcement, it was you bodybuilded and then you kind of ran long distance. That's all you did. Bodybuild, run, and you kind of felt like that was enough, and it was never enough. CrossFit came along. A lot of us started doing CrossFit.
So it was like a functional.
We got into a functional style
movement,
training.
yep.
But as we all know, functional training is also hard on your CNS. So you're having to go to work with a high CNS. You're burning yourself out. And then on your days off, you're trying to train yourself to be prepared for the fight for your life in a manner that is almost mimicking it, which is, again, burning your central nervous system. So you end up just beating yourself down over and over again. So training originally was a bodybuilding / running, which we found was not conducive. It did not help for the fight for your life. We started to fold into more CrossFit. Now we're finding that that's too hard on your body. So we're starting to fold into more of what Rob does here at Vero Strength, which is a segmented training of all of the modalities that will be required in the fight for your life.
Okay.
So that's covering a lot, because I was going to ask you, what is the mistakes that you see people make in their training in your line of work?
Too much volume.
Yep.
Way too much volume.
Because it's like that. It's like that thing that I always say is the difference between what's optimal and tolerable is too different.
Recoverable.
And they're not the same. So then you see people, they're always going to most tolerable because they think but that's not going to get them the best results, which is optimal. And it's usually less than they realize.
Yes. So the way it was best described to me one time, and it made sense, is you have to understand that the body doesn't know the difference between being chased by a saber-toothed tiger or some sort of high stressor, like a hard cardio workout where you're crushing yourself to the ground, or a fight for your life. So if you just produce that every day, and every day you're on duty, fight for your life, and then you're trying to get chased by a saber-toothed tiger, you're living in that fight or flight all of the time, and you're not going to recover. And then if that training encompasses a ton of volume, you're bearing yourself faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because there's all stressors on the body.
It's all stressors on your body.
Yeah, so now you're adding like a big stressor. And like they need to be able to operate under fatigue and stress.
Yes.
But you don't want to do that all the time.
No.
So you have to kind of change the way you're training. Because a lot of people would think like just mimic that stress and do it under fatigue all the time, and all you do is end up burning yourself out. So, and like I'm not saying never ever do it, but
if you go and look at most of the tactical training programs that are out now, because it's kind of a hot topic, it's way too much volume. You'll watch them and it's just a ton of volume. It's a ton of Metcons. It's a ton of CNS stressors. Do you want to test your CNS in those? Yes. Like you do here on a Saturday. Do you come in? But it's not a full fight for your life. It's not you're not being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. It's like a baby saber-toothed tiger. It's something small, it's something easy. But it's still hard enough to know that I need to mentally prepare myself and be prepared for fatigue and produce power after. So I'm testing my skills over the course of time.
Yeah, and that makes sense too, right? Because like fatigue in the fight for your life would be the worst thing to happen to you if you're in the fight of your life, because fatigue would just you're done, right? Like what my old football coach, when we would do the if we had a bad practice, we would have to go up and down, like so we'd go down the side of the football field, up 5 yards, back across the football field. And as we're going, he would blow the whistle and you had to do a down up, right?
Your burpees.
Which is essentially a burpee. And so it was the worst thing ever for us. But he would yell out, "Fatigue will make a coward of us all." Yes. Right?
Yeah. And understanding how to operate under fatigue is really, really important, and keeping your composure like under those stressful situations. And CrossFit did a pretty good job of like kind of showing us that a little bit.
Yes.
But then it was like too much, because there's a difference between understanding and training how to operate in those conditions and testing those conditions. And what happens is people end up testing them too much, right?
Yeah. So I could tell you, for me, when I first started CrossFit, we were doing defensive tactics, and in defensive tactics, we are fighting. So in the scenario was I was on my back. I had to fight from a bad position, then gain control of the person, then take them down, and then cuff them. So it's a fight for about 5 minutes. During that fight, I hit that exhaustion. If you are a combat sport, you know this. You get that sick feeling in your stomach and your brain starts going, oh, no, we're done. We're at the end. But I knew from my workouts, because I felt like this before, that I still have 10 more minutes. I know I have more energy in me. And my brain just switched, and I was able to win that fight. But if you don't put yourself in that situation and feel that exhaustion and that, oh, no, I'm going to die moment, you're not going to know you have that extra gear.
It's that drowning scenario, right?
Scenario.
We're essentially like you're drowning. If you freak out, you're going to drown. If you relax and start thinking about like, okay, what do I have to do? What's your checklist? right? Going through your checklist mentally, you can come back up.
Yep.
Yeah.
But if you freak out, you're going to drown.
It's keeping that composure, being able to operate under those stressful like scenarios.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And your brain will create more stress for you because your
Correct.
brain's lying to you. Your brain's telling you, oh, no, we're done. But you really have more energy. So you have to almost convince yourself that, no, I'm not done.
Because operating out of breath is scary for people.
It's awful.
You see it with them. But if you can get them to tolerate it and understand it and keep their composure, then you'll see a change. But a lot of people, that aerobic, it's like aerobic pain. You see it in people's faces. I see it right away.
100%.
And when you're fighting for your life and that happens, more panic sets in. And then you start making mistakes and you start doing things out of character. So one of the things we tell our guys is when it hits the fan, you're not going to just rise above. You're not going to become a superhero. You're going to rise to your highest level of training. And if your highest level of training is poor, your highest level of conditioning is poor, that's where you're going to. So you need to push that higher, but we have to do it smartly. We can't just run and bang our heads into a wall and expect to get better.
Yeah. And so along with the training that we do here with Rob, or, Rob-like material that you would do at the PD, you also do jiu-jitsu?
We do. So our defensive tactics is Gracie style tactics, or it's Gracie survival tactics, which is jiu-jitsu.
When was that introduced?
Been doing it for 2 years.
Okay. That's fantastic.
Yes.
So why jiu-jitsu?
So jiu-jitsu is fantastic for us. As we know, we've all grown up, we've all been in fights. Majority of fights end up on the ground. If you have no ground fighting skills, you're going to lose. So we're giving officers not only ground fighting skills, but the basis of jiu-jitsu is that I'm going to be in a position where I can reserve my energy while you're trying to fight. So as your energy is going down, mine's either staying or going up. So I'm recovering while you're working, and I'm putting you in a position of advantage.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because like the thing with jiu-jitsu is you're calm a lot. Because I came from a background of wrestling, and whenever I go up against a practitioner that was jiu-jitsu, they were very calm and they would wait for you to make the mistake. Yes. And even though you're much more aggressive and you can kind of control them a little bit, they're just waiting, and eventually you wear down. And that's what I really liked with jiu-jitsu, and then started incorporating some of those skills. So that's like a really good skill for them.
And that's one thing that when we do the training with officers, because we'll do a ground fighting and we have to walk up and be like, breathe, like relax, because they're all tense and no, chill. Like get into that position. If you have them in guard or you're in their guard, hold them where they're at. You relax, let them struggle, let them deplete their energy. When they do, they'll make the mistake because now they're freaking out, and you can submit them and finish.
And Pete, wouldn't you say that's like the same scenarios as them doing a training or some kind of workout with weights? Instead of being all tense the whole time they're doing something, you got to learn when to have the tension and when to release it, and how to like relax.
Yes. And continue moving and move when tired, and be able to produce power when tired, and how to finish a 10-minute AMRAP or finish so many rounds for time.
Well, you know how we always talking is like, not only the ability to be able to operate underneath those kind of like stressful scenarios, but it's the ability to recover through movement.
Yes.
And learning how to recover when you're still doing and moving. Yes. That's like really important. That's what me and Peter's worked together a lot.
Yes. And that's where the chaotic capacity, I think, comes in fantastic. But it's the ability to recover while working and then be able to produce power when tired.
What's the chaotic?
So Strong Bull, Rob created what's called chaotic capacity. There are these fantastic aerobic and anaerobic workouts. Rob will be able to describe it better, but it's perfect for us because it's not a super hard driver of CNS. More bang for your buck.
Yeah, so a while ago when I was still in the CrossFit realm and I was coaching, I was working with some high-level athletes, and I wanted them to be able to build volume and work.
High-level CrossFit athletes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was games athletes. And I was trying to come up with a way for them to get in the feeling of being in the middle of a really bad workout, but without making them go through all the stress on their body of the workout. So I started like kind of really working with different type of like high level, like really high output intervals, and then having that fatigue them, making it feel like they're in a long workout in the middle of it, and then having them go into movements so that they would know and be able to keep their composure in there. And so then I brought it to Pete about like how I did that, and that works perfectly. So what it does is it simulates the stress of being really fatigued, but not actually the wear and tear of the fatigue.
And you get the mental part too. Like when you're on that echo bike and you're at the third or fourth round and you're dying.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's awful. And now I've got to get off and I've got to do like 2 minutes or 20 calories or something at like a 154 pace on a ski erg or a rower. I now know that after feeling awful, I can do that. And it's that mental aspect.
Yeah, because a lot of the workout and a lot of it, just with everything, boxing, but whatever you do in jiu-jitsu, is knowing what it feels like to be there under that fatigue. And so if you've already been there, you know what, you stay calmer. than all of a sudden if you were taking it the first time. Like for instance, the first time you ever did Fran or something in a CrossFit workout, that first time you ever do it, you're like, whoa, what's going on? What's wrong? Now, then once you understand it a little bit, like
throw up.
Correct. Yeah. But then after that, you're like, okay, I know this is coming. You might not do any better, but you're aware of the feeling. So you're more comfortable getting in there. So that's kind of like my thought pattern behind that.
And that's a perfect explanation of what I was trying to say when I was saying you're fighting for your life and you're hitting that moment. It's like when you're hitting that 15 round of Fran and you feel like you're going to throw up and you feel like you're going to die and you don't think you can finish, but you've done Fran before, so you know you can, so you do. That's what I was trying to explain in the fight for your life. When you're in it and you get that feeling and you want to quit, these workouts, these style of workouts tell you can, and that's what pushes you through.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And honestly, like, I've done jiu-jitsu. I'm not a high level jiu-jitsu guy at all, you know, but I've done it for a couple of years. And so collectively, right, like throughout my life. That's you know, I don't want to make it sound like I'm some practitioner that's a badass. But I've done it enough to know that when you are, you know, typically in jiu-jitsu, you learn something in a class for like, you know, 30 to 45 minutes, you practice it very casually, very nicely. And then at the end, it's like, it's go time. And you know, depending on the day that your instructor is, how he's feeling, it could be like 1 5-minute round, or it could be 3 8-minute rounds. And it's brutal.
It's brutal. Yeah. You're going to roll. And
it's the worst.
Well, you guys think about like with jiu-jitsu too is, go and roll with someone newer and how much like tension and they're moving her, and then roll with someone with a lot of experience and how calm they are. Even though you can't get anything done on them, they seem like they're twice as strong, but they're so calm the entire time.
Yeah, and I've had the drowning feeling even in jiu-jitsu. I had this guy, big guy. I could never get the guy off me, and he was a judo guy, so his takedowns were fantastic. So I never could get the upper hand. And so basically just took me down and would just smother me.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I was just so exhausted. Like I was just so tired already. And he was just on top of me. And I tapped out.
Like the claustrophobic.
I tapped out just on not being able to breathe because he was on top of me.
Yeah. I mean, that happens all the time in like different scenarios of wrestling that would happen and stuff.
That's actually a technique we teach is if you have the top position to just lay like a noodle, because the pressure of your weight on their chest, it's almost like an anaconda. Every time they breathe, it gets more restricted.
Yeah, it's going to compress them.
They compress
their diaphragm to where they can't open up.
You're just flattening out on top of them, chest to chest, and your dead weight is way heavier on them, and they freak out or they give up.
Yeah, it's insane.
Pete, I wanted to dive in a little more. So the implements that you guys use, so free weights, kettlebells, dumbbells, sandbags, like what, ropes? What are the implements or you think is best?
I'm a big proponent of strongman. I think your structure program that you had, if I were to put a 100-pound barbell out here with 100 pounds on it right now, and I told you to go deadlift it, you do it 100 times.
Yeah.
So it's your warm up. If I put a 100-pound sandbag out here and I told you to pick up, you're going to struggle with it. It's going to be harder to pick up. It's 100 pounds, but it's not. It's an entirely different movement. Very rarely do we ever go out and pick up a barbell.
Yeah.
So we pick up sandbag. We pick up people that are hurt. We pick up people that maybe an officer I have to drag out. Or if I'm fighting somebody, I have to have that strength. So we're big into the odd object strength as opposed to relative strength. We still do relative strength because you do need to squat, you need to you need to deadlift, you need to bench, you need to be able to do the compound movements, but we supplement that a lot with sandbags, farmer carries, odd object strength.
You know my feeling on odd objects.
Very much so. That's where I learned it all.
I love them. I mean, I really like the barbells, like my thing, but odd objects have more real world application. They're closer to different objects strength. You're going to do. Yes. So and like if you like a snatch, super technical Olympic lift, if you get snatch heavy, you're pretty strong, but you got like a really high skill level because it's so like technical. You can pick up a 300-pound sandbag and just pick it up and move it and then set it down. You just strong. It just don't like you just do whatever.
You're strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's kind of like the Bo Jackson. I want to say that I heard that he never really lifted.
No, he was just strong.
But he was just strong because he would go out and like do hunting and carry deer and that sort of thing and
real man strength.
Yeah, he was just super athletic.
Yeah. But that's the thing, right? Is like you said, you're just strong.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to worry about.
And funny you mentioned Bo Jackson. He was like, that's the first implement that we really saw of understanding cross training. Even though he didn't do it, he claimed a lot. And that was the first eye into like CrossFit and this and that, like you do different things.
Yep.
No, that's interesting. That's interesting.
So yeah, we do a lot of like odd object, and we have to be power. We have to have power. We need to be able to produce power. So although a technical lift, like an Ollie lift, is too technical, we still do a lot of box jumps.
Yep.
We still do a lot of bounding, a lot of sled work. Sleds are fantastic for
I was going to say that. What about your conditioning tools? What do you like using? What you guys?
air bike, sled, and farmer's carries.
Yeah, yeah. Now, do you guys use rowers or skiers?
We have rowers. We don't have a ski. We have a rower. We have an air bike. We have a butcher sled.
Okay.
And then we just live on those.
Yeah.
And a treadmill so we can run. We do have to run, but it's not as important.
Yep.
Would you say like if you don't have a sled, right? Like but you want to do like some kind of a push. What about like a car, like moving a car?
Yeah, yeah. They used to, I mean, that was the old school sled.
That was the old school
like,
sled,
yeah,
right?
like Louis Simmons and them in West Side. Before like sleds were real big, they pushed the cars.
You could push cars.
Yep.
You can a tire. You can push a tire, drag a
But
tire.
the only problem with the car, it's so heavy that it's like a heavy sled push. But sometimes you want to do light sled push and make it more like aerobic, or more sprints, more anaerobic. So you can do like intervals with sleds. So that's the only thing. But the car is great.
So we use the sled a lot because you can get a lot of work done and a lot of exhaustion without building up a lot of fatigue.
Yeah.
Like I can really beat myself up for 30 minutes on a sled, want to throw up, be fine in an hour, and I can still train the next day.
Yeah. And so Larry, when
CNS up.
when Pete was talking about the cardiac capacity, that's why I used a lot of air bike, a lot of rower, a lot of sleds to mimic fatigue, but it doesn't break the body down as much. That's why I like to use conditioning with mostly machines, because once you start throwing weights and different body movements, now you're using up a lot of movement patterns that you might want to use that, you're better suited to see more effective strength training.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. So you would use air bikes.
Yep. I like air bikes a lot.
Yeah.
Producing power at a high volume.
Yeah.
Like almost like a sprint, not as wear and tear. You don't have to worry about your knees, your back.
Yeah. And it's minimal skills. I would say there's probably one other tool that might be a little bit better than an air bike, and Pete's standing right in front of it.
The climber?
Oh.
They're so expensive though.
Yeah, I know. That's the only problem. But yes, yeah, that's probably even a better conditioning tool. But besides that, I would say the air bike.
What about like a Stairmaster?
They're great. They're
You're a
good.
firefighter.
Yeah.
If you got to walk up and down stairs.
Yeah, they're good. They're good. But yeah, they're good. Not as easy as the bike. And also the air bike, you can kind of do a sprint and you're done.
Dead.
Done.
Oh yeah, no, I've used
the technicality of it is so low. Just about everybody can do a sprint on it.
That's a good point. Yeah, because I've done the Tabatas on the Rogue, and I'm just like,
oh yeah,
Oh, you can
like
crush yourself in
round
20
6, I'm
seconds.
like,
oh yeah,
you can F off.
yeah.
God, yeah. Yeah, some of the chaotic capacity that Rob has, it's 15-second sprint, and then you get the minute rest, and it's only 5 or 6 rounds, increasing in watts. And by the end, I feel like I'm going to die, and then I've got to get off of it in ski erg for 500 meters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm probably going to faint or die. But you do, and then you get better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. Good one.
Thank
Good
you.
one.
All right.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for having me.